Hello everyone, this is Anu from the Australian Academy. Today I am going to discuss with you an important cue card, which is describe your idea of a perfect home or a dream house. You should say where it would be, the location, how big it would be, the number of rooms or the house size, what it would be, and what would it contain, what are the features that you would like to incorporate in your dream house. Okay, as you know, you will be given 1 minute to prepare this cue card and you will be allowed to speak for approximately 2 minutes, but make sure that you are able to answer all these 3 questions and it should actually flow, the transition should be very smooth. It should not be a typical question answer session. Okay. Now you can see that the question asks the idea of a perfect home or a dream house. That means something which you actually wish for in the future. So you will be speaking in the future tense because this is something you are actually wanting. It is not actually here. You are actually hoping that your dream house would be just like this. Okay. Always we should give an introduction to your cue card. You should not just straight away jump to the answering of the first question. The main topic that we have to discuss is home. So we will take home as a cue for our introduction. We can just start as home is where the heart is. Every person dreams of having his or her own abode. Abode is actually a synonym for home. The place where I am currently staying. You can just explain ki if people who are living in city, they usually prefer that since they are so boggled and stressed out by the hustle and bustle of the city, they usually prefer if they are like in their maybe retired age or in their future life, if they want to live a very peaceful house in a peaceful surrounding, maybe close to the nature. Similarly, people who have like spent most of their life in the rural areas, they actually aspire to settle in a city area or in a metropolitan town. So accordingly, you can give the introduction and you can frame your own cue card story. Here I am telling where I am currently staying is I am talking about like I am staying in a city life, which is like I am staying in a small apartment. I do not have enough open space. I do not have any garden area. So that are the things that I am actually missing in my present accommodation, and these will be the things that I would prefer in having in my future dream home. Okay. So and quite close to my heart. Although I am missing on certain things in my present apartment, but still my current residential place is very close to my heart. But if I talk about my ideal house or a dream home, it would definitely be one where I can have and do things my way. That is one thing which everybody wants, the freedom, the liberty to do and to arrange things. Mostly people are living in rented accommodation where they cannot even just hit a nail, and there are certain restrictions. You actually want, supposedly if I talk about metropolitans, the houses are so small and congested, there are no open space. A person who is very fond of like gardening, he or she has to literally kill his or her passion of, you can say, in a plant, putting potted plants or something. So somehow or the other we are actually living in a compromised accommodation. But when the question comes that you have to build your own dream house, so obviously you would want all your dreams and aspirations to be fulfilled in that typical house. Okay. So having spent all my growing up years in a city, I really long for peaceful suburbs. That means I want to live close to the nature because I am literally tired of this noise pollution and air pollution of the city life. Since I do not have any choice, my maybe job or my study has forced me to stay in these surroundings. But if I have a choice, I would definitely settle down in a peaceful surrounding. Okay, maybe a hill station. So here we have answered the first part of the question, and you can see how smoothly the answer is fitting into it. It is not coming abruptly. It is just actually flowing in a very smooth way. Okay, so I would prefer my dream home to be built in a hill station within driving distance from the city, so that I can have best of both the worlds. Since all through these years I have been staying in city, I am so used to with the modern, you can say, facilities. So I don't want to be separated or you can say cut off from the modern world, but a certain distance I am okay. So I am saying best of both the worlds means having the advantages of both the city life as well as the rural suburbs. Then now we have to answer how big it would be. How big means what could be the size of your bungalow. So I would prefer a medium sized duplex bungalow having a front and back garden, because I am very fond of, I am very passionate about gardening, and I would prefer having balconies on all the sides so that I can have a good view of the surrounding nature and I can have a good view of the nearby localities as well. Then when we are describing what it would contain, that means you have to describe the house as well. The rooms will be very spacious. You can just go on elaborating like whatever you want. Like I prefer a well ventilated and house with having large windows so that I can have ample sunlight as well as fresh air, and moreover I can also enjoy the scenic beauty as well. The living room, now when I am particularly talking about one particular room, I am focusing on saying that living room with a small library. Since I am very fond of reading, I would love to have my own cozy reading corner. And since I am also passionate about cooking, these preferences can vary from a person to person. I am giving you a mock answer because according to me, my dream house should have at least these two things: a good library, a small cozy reading space, and since I am very passionate about cooking as well, I would love to have a state of the art kitchen with a provision for the setup of all the modern cooking or appliances which are actually required to fulfill this passion of mine. Okay. Then since I have already said that I need front and back garden, why? Because getting a chance to grow my own greens, that means I just want to go for organic farming, I just want to grow my own fruits and vegetables, and I am very passionate about gardening. I need open spaces both in the front and as well as the back of my bungalow, because this particular thing is actually very therapeutic. I feel so happy when I care about my plants. Okay, now we are actually coming towards the end of the cue card, so we should just give it a good closing line. We should not stop abruptly. So we can say that in spite of, like I am talking mainly about the materialistic comforts, but what actually classifies a home as a dream home is an opportunity to live with my loved ones or with my family members, and having the convenience of my friends and loving members and other acquaintances nearby, so that I can meet them frequently. Because in this modern day world, we are all separated by technology and distances. So a dream home would actually be, even if these materialistic pleasures are not there, if I am surrounded with my loved ones, that would actually be a dream home for me. So I can just conclude by saying I love to have an opportunity to live with my family members in peace and harmony. This would be my dream home, and I wish this dream to come true very soon. Okay, I hope all the points are clear and it would be a great help for you. Once you are done with the cue card speaking, the examiner would be asking you certain follow-up questions somewhat related to your cue card, and you will be required to give a bit more detailed answer as compared to the part 1, but try not to give very lengthy answers and do not give your answers in monosyllables like yes or no. Okay, so here I am giving you a few sample question answers that can be related to the cue card that I have just discussed. The first one can be, what are the differences between flats and an individual house? You have to just enumerate 2 to 3 differences between a flat and an independent house. So you can say ki yes, there is a major difference between the flats and independent houses. Like if we talk about the entrance, the independent houses, they have got their own individual entrance, while in flats they are a part of a big building which has a common entrance. Then we can talk about that the individual house, if they are separated from the neighboring house, like there is a distance between 2 houses, but in flats they are like on one particular floor there can be 3 or 4 flats or maybe 6 also. So on one particular floor you can have more than 1 flat. Then we can also discuss about that usually in flats they are maintained by a common agency, because the building in which these flats are constructed, it is usually a multi-storied building. They have got a common maintenance, common security, which is actually not possible, not there in an independent house. The person who is owning the house, he himself or herself has to take care of the security and the maintenance and the other facilities. In a flat there can be many common facilities like security or water, electricity, they are all commonly maintained, but in an independent setup the owner of the person, he has to take care of all these things on his own. So you can just enumerate 2 to 3 top points regarding the differences between these two flats and independent houses. Then another question that can be asked is, why do metro cities have congested houses? in metro cities, that is the urban areas, why is there the houses, the accommodation, the residential areas, they are so congested. You can say by that, since there is a rapid increase in the urban population, most of the people are migrating from the rural or the semi-urban areas to the urban areas, to the metropolitan towns. So obviously there is a paucity of space and the government cannot just accommodate a large inflow of people. So that is why there is a you can say too much of congestion in the accommodation area. Okay. Then if we ask that, do people love to live in joint family in your city? See, these all questions they are not typically related to a perfect home or a dream home, but somehow or the other they are related to the accommodation, to the residential thing. Okay. So here you can talk about your own city, like earlier the joint family trend was very much in vogue, but in modern times due to rapid urbanization, or you can say modernization, the trend of joint family is on a downswing. Instead the nuclear family trend is on a upswing, because people, they love to stay with their own close near and dear ones. Nobody wants to live with the extended family because there is a possibility of clash of opinions or conflicts, and there are then adjustment issues, and sometimes the cost of living, like people who are migrating from rural areas or to other urban areas, they are actually trying to cope up with the you can say the high standard of living or the cost of living in that particular area. So it is very difficult for involving all the family members. They feel ki if the certain maybe parents, or they are staying in the rural house only, they will be able to adjust and cope up in a small house only, but if all the extended family members are there, they will have to buy a bigger house and the expenses would multiply. Okay. The next can be, do all the people have their own home in your country? Again, here you have to focus on your own country part. You can say ki yes, it is actually a dream for every individual to own a home of his own, but due to the rising cost, the standard of living and the coping up issues, and maybe due to lack of proper employment, people are unable to acquire their own property. And one more reason is, since the prices of the real estate are on an upswing, it is very difficult, and it is actually a far-fetched dream for the people who actually want to own their own home. Another question can be, is it costly to build a house? It is actually a very debatable question. You can say some people who are blessed with lots of wealth, they will not agree with this thing. They feel ki yes, I have got ample wealth. But if we talk about the masses, the majority of the population, then definitely they will say yes, of course, it is very difficult, it is very expensive to own and build your own house, because first of all, the real estate, the property prices, they are very high, and it is very difficult for an individual, especially for the service class, that they cannot afford such an expensive property. But yes, everyone aspires, everyone wishes to have his or her own home. I hope all the questions are clear. Thank you.